With Estupinan missing game week 5 and Brighton's fixtures taking a turn for the worst, I thought I'd come up with the ultimate list of transfer targets to help you find the best defender replacements for game week 6. And here are my 5 Estupinan potential replacements that I have outlined, all from different price ranges, a few from the same team as you can see on screen. But yeah, let's just dive into them, to be honest. We do have Kieran Trippier and Botman for Newcastle ahead of their really good fixture run. In game week 6, they play Sheffield United as well, which is a banging fixture I want to try and get a Newcastle player for. With that Rico Henry injury as well, just before half-time, I think Botman is starting to look like a potential option for me and my team. Disclaimer as well, this is being recorded at halftime during that game, so if Trippier or Botman do go off injured or, you know, get suspended or anything like that, please do ignore their kind of picks and just roll over it. But yeah, it is halftime, so give me some credit. But we'll start off with Kieran Trippier. Obviously, this season hasn't kind of hit the heights that he did last year. 6.5 million. So far, I don't think he's quite warranted that price. In the first half, I think he's looked, you know, impressive. Obviously, with him having a lot of set pieces as well, I definitely think he is an option. But at 6.5, it is kind of hard to justify that. As you can see from the expected goals involved, there isn't too much to kind of separate him and Botman. And is it really worth that extra 2 million? Probably not. Probably not is what I'm going to say at this moment in time. Watch Trippier in the second half absolutely go and smash it. He is on my watch list, as like I said, last season he was fantastic. He does take a lot of the set pieces. He is Newcastle's main kind of influence, but with Champions League football starting, European football starting, obviously Livramento joining the club as well, I can kind of see that there might be some rotation as well. Kieran Trippier, not the youngest player as well, plus 31, 32 now as well, so we might see a little bit of rotation with Livramento. They obviously paid an extremely high price for him, so you imagine he is going to dabble in some Premier League games. With Newcastle having a really difficult Champions League group as well, it potentially could knacker them out a little bit, maybe knacking Kieran Trippier out and leave to him potentially being a little bit rotated. So for me, I think Botman is the one. It looks like he's recovered from that injury, playing in today's game. 4.5 million, less owned as well, and he just makes more sense, to be honest, especially with Kieran Trippier not quite living up to that hype. 1 assist from him so far, but I wouldn't expect that over kind of the next period. He isn't one of those players that's going to be picking up attacking returns. We're here primarily just for the clean sheets. No attacking returns from him. But yeah, I think that's the way I'm potentially looking at. Target that really good Newcastle run of games. And with Botman as well being 4.5, he does kind of make sense as a Rico Henry replacement if you've got him, or an Estupinan replacement, the main priority of today's video. With Trippier, you know, you'd have to have extra funds available in the bank, but I think Botman just makes that a little bit more sense to me as one of the Newcastle players. I think Fabian Schär as well at 5 million is a good option, but I didn't want to kind of bombard this with just Newcastle defenders. He had the highest XG amongst defenders last season, so definitely a good player, threat from set pieces, but again, he is one of those key figures that you feel might start to see a little bit of rotation with Champions League football coming round. The next player that I want to talk about is Andy Robertson, the highest expected goal involvement out of all these players. Obviously scored today against Wolves as well. It was a cracking little finish. 6.5 million. Again, I feel like he's in this bracket with Kieran Trippier. The only reason I included him in here is if you've already potentially played your wild card, or maybe you're looking to play it. I think with Liverpool's good long-term fixtures coming up, especially after game week 8, game week 9, I think he potentially could be a player that I might look at. I think Trent is a little bit too pricey this year and definitely not justifying his price point. Neither has Robertson over the opening couple game weeks as well. For 6.5, I want a lot higher XG, more goals, more assists. But you know, we can't be too picky. I would prefer a little bit of a cheaper option. Liverpool defensively as well haven't looked great. So I definitely think he's one of them that I think for me personally is a little bit of a wait and see, rather than replace Estupinan with him this week. Obviously scored as well this week. Don't expect that every single week. As well, I just wanted to put this out there kind of in the middle of the video. I don't think Estupinan is a player that I'm going to actually sell this game week, mainly down to that Rico Henry potential injury, but I don't think I'm going to sell him because Bournemouth at home is a great fixture for them. Obviously missed out this week due to potentially, like, I think it's due to the international kind of duty not being fully back, is kind of the vibe that I'm getting on social media. Not a long-term injury, so kind of De Zerbi's let him have the time off to recover. Obviously they have Europa League as well, so he probably wants him available for that game as well. So there might start to be a little bit more rotation within the Brighton side as well. So I think after this game week, I'm definitely going to be looking to get rid of him. But for this game week, I'm probably going to hold as other issues are starting to crop up and arise within my team. But moving on to our final two players, it is both the Manchester City boys, Ruben Diaz and Akanji, two great centre-backs for Manchester City. They've started the season extremely well, kind of picking up from where they were last season. Obviously, the points haven't been flying in as they've been conceding the odd goal here and there, 13 and 17 for these boys. But I think, you know what you're getting. Obviously, it is kind of split. I think Ruben Diaz is kind of the big key one for Manchester City, so I can see him playing a lot more games than Akanji. But to kind of caveat that, Akanji did play the most games out of all Manchester City defenders last year, so he is one of Pep's favourites. He's very versatile as well, but I can see him being used a little bit more in the Champions League. Ruben Diaz, I think, is the key one that's going to play a lot of the big games, a lot of Premier League games as well. He seems to be the stalwart. 5.5 million, so you would have to go up from Estupinan, where Akanji, you're pretty much talking the exact same price. I put percent. It's 5.1 mil. Little error there on the graphic from me. But yeah, 5.1 mil. I definitely think the City ones for the next two are worth considering. So maybe if you're on a Game Week 8, Game Week 9 wildcard and you're looking to kind of for a shorter defender kind of punt, I definitely think I'd be looking at the Newcastle boys or the City boys with their next two good fixtures coming up for Manchester City. Manchester United as well do have really good fixtures, but defensively, I'm not quite feeling it. And that's why I didn't recommend any United players. Let me know in the comment section below which players you're thinking of potentially replacing Estupinan with. If there's any I've missed as well, leave them down in the comments. And if you have any other general comments as well about FPL, get them in the comments as well. Moving away from defenders, one player that I did want to speak about this week is Julian Alvarez as a potential transfer target. I think over the opening couple five, he has been absolutely phenomenal. 2 goals, 5 assists, good XG, good XA, and 38 points scored as well. Good predicted points, and the next two fixtures are quite juicy for Manchester City. Nottingham Forest at home and Wolves away. I think he is definitely a short-term pick kind of punt. Maybe if you're looking at a Game Week 8 wildcard or Game Week 9, he might be one of those players that you target for the next two. Maybe have him for that Arsenal game because that one could go either way. But yeah, I definitely think he is one of those players that's a short-term pick. But at the moment, him and City are looking super fluid. He's starting to click in that kind of 10 role. Another impressive performance today for him as well. I definitely think he's a player that I'm going to be looking to keep an eye on. I recommended him a few game weeks ago. Recommended it to my dad as well. My dad actually put him in and managed to draw with me in our head-to-head league as well because of Julian Alvarez's influence in the last fixture as well. So he's a great player, looking super good as well. Next two fixtures are immense for Manchester City. They're starting to click as well, looking very fluid going forward. My only concern is around potential minutes risks. Now, he has played full 90s in every single game week so far. The only concern now is Champions League starting up. Is Pep Roulette going to come back and start to, flip into full gear? Potentially. That could be the concern, that if you do go for Julian Alvarez, that is something that's always in the back of mind when you go for these City assets. But I think for the next two, he might be a really good little cheeky pickup. Like I said, if you're on that Game Week 8, Game Week 9 wildcard, he could be a nice little option. Maybe you've got Watkins. Their fixtures aren't great for the next two, and they also have Europa Conference League, so we might see a little bit of minutes rotation with them. So I definitely think Julian Alvarez could offer that as a short-term pick if you're planning on wildcarding in the next few weeks. And finishing up today's video, I want to talk about Marcus Rashford. Now, I imagine a lot of people are potentially looking at selling him after another blank, but this is where I'm going to say, I think I'd hold if I had Rashford, to be honest. I think he looked super impressive for large parts of that Brighton game. United arguably were a little bit unlucky with kind of the scoreline in the end, but I think for parts of it, Rashford looked super influential in the game as well. Potentially could have scored. I think the link-up play as well that he showed with Højlund, especially with him now back on that left-hand side, I think we're going to start to see him in the points in the next few weeks as well. The next three fixtures, if you are looking at a Game Week 8 or Game Week 9 wildcard, aren't too bad either. Burnley, Crystal Palace and Brentford as well. A nice set of fixtures there for United. 2 home games as well. I think Brighton is one of those teams though where you kind of have to expect that they are a lot better than kind of Brighton the name just suggests, to be honest, as an overall. But I definitely think if I had Rashford in my team, I probably would be looking to hold. I think for certain parts of the game, he massively passed the eye test for me. I think it is just a matter of time before the points do start to return for him. The data is definitely there as well, as you can see from his XG and his XA as well. So I imagine it is only a matter of time before the points kind of do return for Marcus Rashford as well. Like I said, the next 3 fixtures, Burnley, Crystal Palace and Brentford, are a good set of fixtures to have. Back-to-back home games as well. You imagine there's going to be a little bit of confidence starting to grow within him as well. Obviously, the result today wasn't quite as good, but like I said, the link-up play for times in the game, he definitely passed the eye test for me. The link-up play with Højlund as well was especially good at times, and I do think against these lesser opponents, I think he will have some joy. So for me personally, I think I would potentially hold Marcus Rashford for at least the next game week, and then if he's still not performing to the same levels, then after that point, I would look to move him out of my team. That was our transfer targets for today's video and best Estupinan replacements. If you do enjoy the content that you see on the channel, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as we are trying to hit 2,000 subs, and I want to help you guys get the best rank possible in the game. But yeah, thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy the rest of your game week.